Here's the most expensive mistake first-time homebuyers make. They let the bank decide how much house they can afford, and that number is almost always too high. If a lender tells you that you qualify for a $450,000 mortgage, that does not mean a $450,000 mortgage is safe for you. It means the bank has calculated the maximum amount you can borrow before they think you might default. That is a very different thing from a number that actually lets you sleep at night. The average American family that buys at the top of their pre-approval limit ends up spending roughly $500 more per month than they comfortably should. Over 5 years, that is $30,000 in financial stress that quietly grinds down everything else. Savings, retirement, vacations, emergencies. The good news is that a simple framework has existed for decades that tells you exactly where your real limit sits. And once you run your own numbers through it, the right answer becomes obvious. By the end of this video, you will know your actual affordable price range, the hidden costs that most buyers completely forget, and why staying well below your pre-approval might be the single best financial decision you ever make. Most people have never heard of the 28-36 rule, and that gap in knowledge is costing buyers thousands every single year. Here's what it is, and why it matters more than anything your lender tells you. The 28-36 rule is a guideline used by financial planners, not banks, to keep your housing costs genuinely manageable. The first number 28 means your total monthly housing payment should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income. Gross income is your income before taxes are taken out. So if your household brings in $6,000 a month before taxes, 28% of that is $1,680. That is your housing budget ceiling. Now, that housing payment is not just your mortgage. It includes principal, the portion that pays down what you borrowed, plus interest on the loan, property taxes, and homeowner's insurance. Lenders actually have a name for this bundle: PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. All four together must stay under that 28% mark. The second number, 36, is where it gets even more important. Your total debt, meaning PITI plus any car payments, student loans, credit card minimums, or other monthly obligations, should not exceed 36% of your gross monthly income. So for that same $6,000 household, total debt payments should stay at or below $2,160 a month. If you already have a $400 car payment and $200 in student loan minimums, that leaves only $1,560 for housing, which is actually less than what the first rule suggested. That tension between the two numbers is the part almost everyone misses, and it directly changes the home price you can actually target, which we will calculate precisely in the next section. Knowing the rule is step one. Turning it into a real dollar figure for the home itself is where most buyers get confused. So let us walk through it together, one step at a time. Start with your tighter number from the 28-36 rule. Using the $6,000 gross income example and assuming $600 in existing monthly debt, the 36% cap of $2,160 minus that $600 leaves you $1,560 for housing. That is your true monthly housing budget. Now, your monthly payment depends on three things: the home price, your down payment, and the interest rate on your mortgage. Let us use a 30-year fixed mortgage, the most common type, at a 7% interest rate, which is roughly in line with where rates have been recently. At 7% on a 30-year loan, every $100,000 you borrow costs you roughly $665 per month in principal and interest alone. So if your budget is $1,560 and you need to leave room for property taxes and insurance, typically another $300 to $400 per month on a modest home, you have about $2,200 left for principal and interest. Divide $1,200 by 665, and you can afford to borrow roughly $180,000. If you have saved a 10% down payment, you can add that on top. 10% of a $200,000 home is $20,000 down, leaving a $180,000 loan. So your target home price lands around $200,000. Change the down payment or the rate and the number shifts, but the process stays exactly the same. Run your own numbers using this framework before you ever walk into a lender's office. And here's why that matters. A lender at that same income level might pre-approve you for a $320,000 home. That is not a mistake on their part. It is just a different calculation with a different goal. Your goal is comfort. Their goal is a completed loan. Only one of those goals is yours. Here is the part almost every first-time buyer learns the hard way. The mortgage payment is not the total cost of owning a home. There are layers underneath it that can add hundreds of dollars a month, and they are not listed on any listing page. The first one is property taxes. These vary wildly by state and county. In New Jersey, the average effective property tax rate is around 2.2% of the home's value per year. On a $300,000 home, that is $6,600 a year, or $550 a month, added on top of your principal and interest. In Alabama, the same home might only run $300 a year in taxes. Know your local rate before you set your budget. The second hidden cost is homeowners insurance. The national average is roughly $400 a year, but in states with hurricane or wildfire risk, it can be 2 to 3 times that. And in some coastal areas, it has become genuinely difficult to get coverage at any price. Budget at least $150 per month and verify your specific area before assuming. Third is private mortgage insurance, or PMI. If you put down less than 20% of the purchase price, most lenders require PMI. It protects the lender, not you, if you stop making payments. PMI typically costs between 0.5% and 1.5% of your loan amount per year. On a $250,000 loan, that is $1,250 to $3,750 a year, or roughly $100 to $300 a month, until you have built up 20% equity. And then there is maintenance. Financial planners commonly suggest budgeting 1% of your home's value per year for upkeep and repairs. On a $250,000 home, that is $2,500 a year, or about $280 a month, sitting in reserve for a new water heater, a roof repair, or a broken HVAC system. Skip this fund, and one unexpected repair can put you into credit card debt overnight. Add all of that up on a $250,000 home, and your real monthly cost of ownership can easily run $500 to $800 more than the mortgage payment alone. That gap is what turns a comfortable purchase into a house-poor situation, and avoiding it is exactly what the next piece is about. The term house poor means you own a home, but you have almost nothing left after paying for it. It sounds like a minor inconvenience. It is not, and the data backs that up. A Federal Reserve survey found that roughly 37% of American homeowners said they would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense. Many of them bought at the top of what they were approved for, then watched every other financial goal, retirement savings, emergency fund, even small luxuries, get quietly suffocated by housing costs. Here's what house poor looks like in practical terms. Imagine a couple earning $8,000 a month gross. They get pre-approved for $480,000 and buy right at that number. Their mortgage payment plus taxes plus insurance comes to $3,200 a month. That is 40% of gross income, well past the 28% guideline. After taxes, they take home maybe $5,800. After housing, they have $20,600 left for groceries, utilities, car payments, student loans, childcare, and everything else. There is nothing going into a 401k. The emergency fund is frozen. One job loss, one medical bill, or one major repair, and they are in serious trouble. Now flip the scenario. Same couple, same income, but they buy a $280,000 home instead. Their all-in monthly housing cost drops to around $2,000. That frees up $1,200 a month, which is enough to max out a Roth IRA, build an emergency fund and a high-yield savings account, and still have breathing room. Over 10 years, that discipline in the $280,000 home likely builds more total wealth than the bigger house ever could, because the money that would have gone to housing is compounding in investments instead. The uncomfortable truth is that a bigger mortgage does not build wealth. It concentrates risk. The next question is, what should you actually do before you ever make an offer? This section is purely practical. The checklist that gets you ready to shop with confidence instead of anxiety. Start with your gross monthly household income. Add up every income source before taxes: salary, freelance, side income. That is your baseline. Next, list every monthly debt payment you currently carry: car loans, student loan minimums, credit card minimums, personal loans. Add them up. Subtract that total from 36% of your gross income. What remains is your maximum monthly housing budget. Then research property tax rates in the specific counties you are considering. Your county assessor's website will have this. Look up homeowners insurance quotes for the area. A 10-minute call to an insurer or a quick online quote gets you a real number. Factor in PMI if your down payment will be under 20%, and add that 1% maintenance reserve. Now take your remaining principal and interest budget and work backwards to a loan amount using a free online mortgage calculator. There are good ones on Bankrate and NerdWallet. Add your down payment and you have your real target price range. Write that number down before you ever browse listings, because the moment you fall in love with a home $80,000 over budget, the math stops mattering emotionally. One more thing, get a full pre-approval letter, not just a pre-qualification. A pre-qualification is a quick estimate based on information you report yourself. A pre-approval involves a real credit check and verified income documents. It carries actual weight with sellers and gives you a clearer picture of what you will actually be offered. Having your number dialed in before you shop protects you from the most dangerous moment in the home buying process. And that moment is coming up next. Real estate agents will show you a home that checks every box. The kitchen is perfect. The backyard is exactly what you imagined. And it is $60,000 over your number. This is the moment that derails more buyers than any interest rate or market condition ever could. Sellers and agents know that emotion drives decisions. Once you picture your life in a specific house, the rational budget feels like an obstacle rather than a guardrail. Buyers in this position routinely convince themselves that they will make it work, and that phrase is the single most expensive sentence in personal finance. The defense is simple but requires preparation. Before you tour a single home, write your maximum purchase price on a piece of paper. Not the bank's number, your number from the 2836 calculation. Show it to your partner if you have one. Tell your agent up front. Make it a shared, stated commitment, not a private mental note that is easy to override when emotions are running hot. If a home you love is over your number, ask yourself one clear question. Can I get the seller to come down to my number? Or is this simply not the right house right now? Sometimes the answer is negotiation. Sometimes the honest answer is that you are not financially ready for that home yet. And waiting, saving more, and buying the right home in 18 months is a far better outcome than buying the wrong home today. Patience in home buying is not a consolation prize. Given that a home is likely the largest purchase of your life, a single year of additional saving and preparation can be worth tens of thousands of dollars in equity, lower monthly payments, and reduced financial stress for decades. Here's every key idea from this video pulled together into one clear picture. How much house you can afford starts with the 2836 rule. Keep your total housing costs, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, below 28% of your gross monthly income, and keep all debt combined below 36%. Always use the tighter of those two numbers as your ceiling. Then stack in the hidden costs: property taxes, homeowner's insurance, PMI if your down payment is under 20%, and a 1% annual maintenance reserve. These can easily add $500 or more per month to a payment that looked fine on paper. Remember that the bank's pre-approval maximum is their limit, not your limit. It reflects credit risk, not your comfort or your financial goals. Buying well below your pre-approval is not settling, it is strategy. And set your number before you tour a single home in writing, so that the moment emotion takes over, you already have an anchor. Now that you understand how to size a home purchase correctly, the next thing that quietly undoes all of this good planning is choosing the wrong mortgage type. Fixed versus adjustable, 15-year versus 30-year, and what that choice actually costs you over time. That video is a natural next step, and it is already on this channel. If this breakdown helped you, subscribe to Plain Money so you do not miss the next one. Give this video a like so more people find it, and drop a comment below. Tell us, what is the biggest surprise hidden cost you discovered in the home buying process? We read every single one.